In this video, I'll take you along the steps I take to frame my paintings. These three behind me, they're dried. It's oil paintings. They're dried. I varnished them, and now it's really time for that finishing touch, adding a nice frame. I like these floater frames because they're simple, modern, and they just give that finishing touch to your piece. Why do they call this a floater frame? Because you will always have an edge, a gap, so to say, between the frame and your painting. So it looks like your painting is actually floating. Here I've prepared some tools. A small wooden drill, some scissors, some cardboard, and of course some screws. The screws are 2.5 centimeters. That's because my canvas has a depth of 2 centimeters and the floater frame of 1 centimeter. So we'll have the full 1 centimeter up in the floater frame, and then the rest 1.5 centimeter goes into my canvas. And that way I'm sure that it doesn't stick out. I'll start by drilling some holes with my drill. It's a small wood drill. I will put one here in the middle, here, here, and here. So I'm gonna attach my painting at 4 points. Before I drill, I like to put my frame on the edge of the table, just sticking out so I won't drill in my table. And also, why do we drill? That's because it's easier to get in the screws later on, and you'll have a nice path to get through. Now it's time for the fun part, putting our canvas in. And as you can see, it fits in nicely within the box, and this is that shadow line I was telling you about, that gap at the edges. Now we want to ensure that there's a nice gap on all the sides with the same distance. That's what we've got the cardboard for. So I'm going to cut this up and put cardboard on all sides to push it a bit in the middle. And I like to use cardboard as it doesn't damage the edges of your painting also later on when you want to remove it. We take a screw, attach it to the screwdriver, and put it in that pre-drilled hole. Now I'm going to put some light pressure on top here. It's the edge of the painting. Of course I have clean hands, and then I gently drill it in. Of course, only do this when your painting is fully dry. We gently remove the cardboard from the sides. One more tip I'd like to give is to always paint your edges as well of your canvas, because otherwise you might see some white or distracting colors. So either paint it in the same color as the background, or perhaps black. Before framing, I put in these little screws on both sides, roughly at, well, I would say 1/5 or 1/4 of the canvas. I screw them in. I'm gonna put a metal thread through there. It's also ready to hang. And because it's in the actual canvas, the frame itself doesn't have too much wear and tear on it. You want to have not too much tension on there, so you can easily move the piece around and balance it out on the wall. Some people, they use a rope, for example, but I don't really trust that. And I like the sturdiness of this metal thread. For the finishing touch, I'm just going to take some black tape and put that over the screws. Gives some extra protection to the walls it might hang to, and also in transportation if you're moving several paintings, for example, and you want to stack them, there's less chance of injury, so to say. Looks a lot more dressed now, doesn't it? Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. Happy painting!